What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and I'm sure if you're a Nintendo fan like myself, or specifically a Fire Emblem fan like myself, you were up watching the Nintendo Direct or the Fire Emblem Direct, whatever you want to call it, last night when Nintendo announced a bunch of new stuff and showed off a bunch of new stuff. Now, essentially, they showed off four new things. You could arguably call it six, but I'm going to call it four. Two of which I'm not really going to talk about. I'm just going to get them right out of the way, right at the very start, simply because it's not the main focus. So, first off, yes, they confirmed a bit of I was going to say Hyrule Warriors, of Fire Emblem Warriors, which, as you know, is a Dynasty Warriors style game by Koei Tecmo, working with Intelligent Systems to bring Dynasty Warriors style game with a Fire Emblem theme to it. So it's coming out on the Nintendo Switch, and it was announced last night in the Direct that it's also coming out on 3DS in August. I can't remember if it was August or autumn of 2017. Either way, autumn for any Americans out there is what you call fall, but yeah, you get the idea. So I don't really like that style of game. I'm not really going to talk about it too much. That's out of the way. Second off, they showed a significant amount of the actual Direct was dedicated to the Fire Emblem mobile game. So Fire Emblem Mobile, or as it's going to be called, Fire Emblem Heroes, is kind of a greatest hits style Fire Emblem game. It seems to be free to play with in-game microtransactions, and you can conjure up various heroes from across multiple different Fire Emblem games. And you can get them and train them up, get them to higher levels, better equipment, better skills, better stats, etc., etc. The level design seems pretty small. It's designed to fit on a phone, so I'm not really surprised. It launches on Android and iOS on January 2nd, so you're not going to have to wait too long. Pre-registrations are open now, and there's a voting system kind of thing that can link to your My Nintendo account, and you get additional platinum coins for voting on which characters you would like to see in-game. Now, the actual two main important ones. First off, I'm going to get the arguably bigger announcement out of the way first, simply because at the same time, the information we actually got on it is a smaller piece of info. So, first off, Nintendo have confirmed that for the first time since 2007, there is going to be a Fire Emblem game on a home console. So they have announced, and with no new title, they've announced a new Fire Emblem game coming to Nintendo's Switch in 2018. Now, it's scheduled for 2018. Obviously, it can be delayed, whatever. We'll see how it goes. But either way, it's an exciting announcement. If you've played the GameCube or Wii versions of Fire Emblem, that's the kind of thing I'm expecting. I'm expecting full 3D environments with full 3D characters the entire time. Not just 3D characters in battle or anything like that. I'm expecting it the actual full-on entire time, entire map, entire overview, entire character select, whatever. I'm expecting it basically in all 3D. If my voice would cooperate with me today at all, that would be a really nice thing. Now, one of the other and kind of unexpected big announcement from, well, to be honest, the Fire Emblem Switch was kind of an unexpected announcement. It's a very, very pleasant one. But at the same time, this was kind of an unexpected one for the simple reason is now that the Switch is out in a month and a half, possibly developed for that, but at the same time I can understand why this is happening for the simple reason is there's like a 60 million install base for this. Now, I'm sure what you probably guessed already is, or maybe you've seen somewhere else, but Nintendo have announced that there is a new Fire Emblem game coming to the Nintendo 3DS. It's going to be called Fire Emblem Echoes, and it's basically a remake. I'm going to say remake. They prefer to use the word heavily inspired by, but I'm essentially going to call it a remake or a reimagining, whatever you want to call it, of Fire Emblem Gaiden, which was the second Fire Emblem game ever released back on the Famicom. I was going to say 15 years. God, it feels so. God, that throws me off. 25 years ago. I was going to say 15 years because for some reason when I say 15, it just makes me think, oh yeah, 15 years ago. That was in the 90s. But yeah, 25 years ago, it was released on the Famicom in Japan. So it's based on that. The story is going to be, the overarching story is going to be mostly the same thing. It focuses on two characters, and these characters are called Alm and Celia. They're essentially two. See, I've never played it, so I'm not fully 100% sure on the details. They seem to be brother and sister. They could just be friends, but they could be brother and sister. Now, they're, at the end of the day, they're two warriors on opposite sides of a war. So they're two friends, two possible siblings, whatever, on the opposite side of a war. One in the North Kingdom and one in the South Kingdom. So that pretty much gives you a general idea of what the story is going to be like. The full title for the game is Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia. That's right, for some reason it's not Valencia or Valencia or whatever, but it's Valentia because that's how they like to do it apparently. So because it is going to be based a lot on the kind of systems and all in Fire Emblem Gaiden, you're going to have like branching character paths to an extent, not as much as you'd see in other games, but not as kind of linear as you'd see in certain Fire Emblem games. Then again, a bunch of Fire Emblem games. Jesus, that's trying to say that a lot fast. Some of them had, proper branching character paths, so it's pretty good. But something that's kind of unique that I only personally found out last night with Fire Emblem Gaiden, and that's going to make a return in Fire Emblem Echoes, is that it actually uses kind of an open world system, not just a straight linear game. It's going to have a bit more open world with optional stuff like extra side dungeons that can, yes, that's right, dungeons that can actually, be used to kill time, level up your characters. I realize there's other versions and other variants of some of this kind of stuff in Fire Emblem games, but it's nice to see it take a bit of a different shape or form. Now, the main thing, as soon as, well, I was talking to my friend, as we both watched this, we were on the Xbox chatting at the same time, and we were both watching this, so just before it started, we were talking about what we expected to see and what we wanted to see and all in it. And I was saying, if we do see a new 3DS game, or even a Switch game, which now we're going to see both, the main thing I pointed out to him, I said to him, is like, they need to move away from Fates, and I want to see them move away from Fates. Fates, it had a decent reception, but personally, it was nowhere near as good as Awakening, and it kind of backtracked on a lot of the stuff that made Awakening great. So Fire Emblem Fates was a decent game, but it felt like a step back. And with Echoes, it feels like they're going to change that, and they're stepping away from it and changing enough that it's not going to feel like a 1.5 version of the game. And I was happy to see that when Echoes was announced and the details for Echoes were shown. So one last key thing for Echoes, at least anyway, is surprisingly it's going to be out pretty soon. It's actually going to release in May of 2017. I was going to say 2016. God, my years are all over the place. But yeah, it's going to release on Nintendo 3DS in 2017 in May. That's pretty damn good. So I I cannot complain about that at all, because it's more Fire Emblem at the end of the day. So last up, on top of all the Fire Emblem news and all that, they have announced two new amiibo. There's an Alm amiibo and there's a Celia amiibo. The Alm amiibo looks kind of weird. The Celia amiibo looks cool. So I'm sure, obviously, they're going to have some functionality in Fire Emblem Echoes, but who knows what kind of functionality they're going to have overall. We probably won't be able to use them in Smash. Is Fire Emblem Fates going to get an update? I'm sure possibly Fire Emblem Warriors will have access to this. Hell, for all we know, phones nowadays support NFC, so maybe we'll be able to use them in Fire Emblem Heroes. Or most realistically, I'd say, because the Switch is the new big thing, and we're going to have the console version next year, obviously all your Fire Emblem amiibo are going to finally launch in, what do you call it? Not launch, be supported in your Switch version of Fire Emblem. So I think that'll be pretty cool. Now, the only thing I will say on a negative front from this is that while these two new amiibo are announced for the same release date as the actual game, the bit that kills me is that we're still, what, 2 years out from Corrin's announcement, and he still doesn't exist, or a year and a half, whatever it is, from Corrin's announcement, and he doesn't exist, and we're going to get a brand new Fire Emblem game since then, and 2 brand new Fire Emblem amiibo since then, and there's still no mention of Corrin. Still no materialization of Corrin. Despite there maybe there's rumors that he's going to be released alongside Smash Bros. Port or alongside Smash Bros. Whatever. I don't care. It's just a really poor way of handling it at this point. Like announcing something a year and a half, 2 years out for an amiibo. I don't remember the exact date. For some reason, I want to say it was the end of 2015, December 2015. I can't remember, but it was a really poor way of handling it, and they've launched several new amiibo lines and several new amiibo in general in considerably shorter time spans, and we're still sitting here waiting after all this time for Cloud, Bayonetta, sure, which don't have games since then, but now we're getting 2 new Fire Emblem amiibo with a new Fire Emblem game. Hell, you could even argue 2 new Fire Emblem games with I keep wanting to call it Hyrule Warriors, with Fire Emblem Warriors and Fire Emblem Echoes, let alone the Switch version next year, and I'm not counting the mobile game. But yeah, you see the idea. It's a very poor way of handling it. I hope Corrin gets released ASAP. Hopefully Cloud does as well. I want to buy a Cloud amiibo. One of my friends wants to buy a Bayonetta amiibo, so I suppose you could count it as just let's release all 3 of them. Yeah, that's basically it. So in the comment section below, let me know how hyped you are for Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia, Fire Emblem Switch, or, I'm sure it's just a working title, so it's going to have an extra little bit at the end of it. For Fire Emblem Warriors, didn't call it Hyrule Warriors that time. Or even if you're looking for Fire Emblem Heroes, I know personally, I will try out the mobile game. It'll probably be another Miitomo. I'll play it for another 3 days and then just uninstall it. But either way, you could be hyped for it. You could love that kind of thing. It might be more in your bag. It might be, you don't want to carry around your 3DS and you still want to play some Fire Emblem. And then it's probably for you. So if you're hyped for any of this, or whatever the deal is with any of your Fire Emblem love or your Switch love or whatever, let me know all that in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter. Details in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the rest of the videos in my channel.